Yo, what's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be taking an early look at the NFL salaries for Week 1 on Yahoo. I did already cover the Week 1 salaries for DraftKings. I'm pretty much just going to go through each position, just talk about some guys that maybe stand out given their salary. I'm not really giving any picks in this video. It's kind of too early to give picks. We're still over 3 weeks till Week 1 starts. This video is just more going to be about looking at the salaries, maybe talking about some guys that feel too cheap, maybe feel overpriced. I'll do so at each position, go through each position real quickly. All season long, I'm going to be doing DraftKings and Yahoo videos. I think this year I'm going to do them separately, so that way, like, if I can focus more on the site rather than trying to do two videos or two sites in one video. I can just do two separate videos and fully focus on talking about that one site. So for this video, we're going to look at Yahoo. You guys should definitely be playing over on Yahoo this NFL season if you never have before. As you can see at the top here, Yahoo's doing a $1 million tournament, the $1 Million Baller. It is rake free. There's no rake. Yahoo's not taking any money out of this tournament. 40,000 entries is the max amount of entries that it can hold, and I doubt it's even going to get to that much. It's probably going to overlay a little bit. $25 to enter, 10 entry max. You can enter up to 10 times. Unlike DraftKings and FanDuel, Fantasy Draft, like where you can do 150 lineups, Yahoo's a lot more player friendly. It's a lot more friendly for the casual player. Only 10 entries for each user. I'm going to have 10 entries into this tournament. It's by far one of the best tournaments out there for Week 1. Really good payout structure. If you look at the payout structure, it's $100K to first, or it's $1 million in total prizes with $100K to first. And then looking at like second place, it drops down to $50K, then $25K, $15K. It's not like you have $1 million prize pool and then you have like 50% of the money going to first place. It's pretty even payout. 10% to first place, 23% goes to the top 10, which is pretty good. Pays out 25%. So as long as you place within the top 25%, you're gonna make your money. And I believe if you place like within the, so if you max out this, if you put 10 lineups in, that's $250. As long as you place one of those lineups in the top 200, you're going to profit in this tournament, which is pretty, I would say is kind of easy to do, especially given the fact this tournament's probably going to overlay. So you guys should totally be playing over on Yahoo. If you aren't, it's a great site for the casual player with 10 entries per 10 entries max per every tournament. You're not going to have guys, pro players going with 150 lineups, whereas you only have maybe 2 or 3 lineups. It's 10 lineups per player, 10 lineups for everybody. If you guys do want to join Yahoo, you can sign up through my link. There is a link down in the description. If you sign up through my link, I believe it gives you like $20 in bonus points or bonus like Yahoo Sports points. That way you can I think you'll get like $20 or $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points, which will get you one free entry into this tournament. So if you want to sign up through my link, it helps both of us out. Feel free to do so. Link down in the description. But before we do get started looking at the salaries for Yahoo, I would ask that you please drop a like on the video. It definitely helps me out a lot. If you are new to the channel, if you did find this video and you are new to my channel, thank you so much for checking out the video. Make sure you click that subscribe button down below. I'm going to be uploading a ton of NFL content throughout the year. Going to be covering pretty much every slate for Yahoo and DraftKings. Going to cover the showdown slates on DraftKings. So you're going to want to make sure you're subscribed so that way you don't miss out on any of my new videos. But at the top, kind of typical guys at the top. Patrick Mahomes, $39, most expensive quarterback. I believe on DraftKings he was also the most expensive quarterback. It's not the best spot, though, against Jacksonville on the road. Jacksonville, really good defense. Don't think Mahomes is going to be someone I try and pay up for on this Week 1 slate. We're still 3 weeks away, so that could change, but I don't feel like Mahomes is going to be someone I try and get to. One shocking thing is that Phillip Rivers is the second most expensive quarterback, whereas on DraftKings, I think Rivers was like one of the more cheaper quarterbacks, so that just kind of shows you the difference in salaries. So Rivers at 36 feels like a little bit of too much to pay. I think if I'm going to pay that much, I'd probably just get up to Mahomes, because I feel like Mahomes, even though it's a tough matchup, just gives you so much upside. He's one of the best fantasy quarterbacks, if not the number one fantasy quarterback. But I really like this mid-tier, like these $32, $31 guys. A couple guys that stand out to me. Cam Newton at 32, I like a lot. I think Cam Newton's going to have a really good year for fantasy. Even last year, he was a pretty good fantasy quarterback. Panthers didn't have that great of a year as a team, especially towards the end of the year. They started to lose a lot of games. But if you just look at the game log, Newton was great for fantasy, getting you 20-plus fantasy points, felt like every time he stepped onto the field, 18, 28, 29, 18. Just a really good fantasy quarterback, has rushing upside, will throw the ball if they're behind. And even if the Panthers are ahead, you still get some rushing potential out of Cam Newton. So at $32, he's for sure going to be in my player pool come week 1. Another guy I really like, he really stood out on Yahoo. Jameis Winston's only $31. Jameis Winston is a quarterback that I'm going to be pretty high on this year. Tampa Bay, just as an offense, doesn't really have much of a running game. I said this in my DraftKings video. Winston's going to be someone I try and play a lot this year. Like I said, no running game for Tampa Bay. Winston's going to be throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game. Kind of did so last year when he was starting, 40, 50 passing attempts, close to it pretty much every game. This game is projected to be a pretty high-scoring game. Right now it has almost a 50 total, with Tampa Bay as only 1-point favorites. So it should be a high-scoring game, and it should be close and competitive. I really like Jameis Winston at only $31. His price on Yahoo definitely differs from DraftKings. I think on DraftKings, Winston is the 3rd most expensive quarterback. On Yahoo, Winston's like the 8th or 9th most expensive quarterback. He honestly might be lower. I think he's like the 12th most expensive quarterback. So Winston at $31. It's early, but he's probably going to be one of my higher-owned quarterbacks on Yahoo. Same with Garoppolo at the same price. I do prefer Winston, but that game in general between the 49ers and Bucks, talked about in the DraftKings video, I like that game a lot for offense. So Garoppolo is definitely going to be someone I look to as well. And then talking about the potential values, there's a couple guys that stand out. Kirk Cousins at home against the Falcons at $27 stands out. Lamar Jackson, given his rushing upside against the Dolphins, at $26. Another guy you could look to. Kyler Murray, I like him a lot on DraftKings where he's so cheap. On Yahoo, he's pretty cheap as well at $26. I expect a pretty big year out of Kyler Murray. I think he's going to have a lot of success. This Arizona team is going to play fast. They're going to throw the ball plenty. So Kyler Murray gives you rushing upside as well. He's a value play that is going to be someone I go to a lot at quarterback if I need a cheap quarterback. A lot of the guys I talked about in the DraftKings video, kind of the same ones I like on Yahoo. Just like I like Winston a lot more on Yahoo where he's so cheap. Murray's still cheap on both sides, so I like him a lot. Kirk Cousins is cheap on both sides. I like him a lot. Cam Newton, his price stands out a lot on Yahoo at just $32. I think on DraftKings, he's like the 3rd most expensive or 2nd most expensive quarterback. Can't remember. Newton, though, I like a lot if I'm paying up. Him and Mahomes as like potential spend-up options make some sense. I do want to note that Yahoo does have the Sunday night football game on their main slate, so the game between the Steelers and the Patriots is there. You do have Tom Brady at $33 at home against the Steelers as a potential pay-up option. I think I'd rather play Newton for just $1 less, so I don't think I'm going to get to much Brady this week, but just I did want to note that in case you were seeing like Tom Brady on Yahoo, but he's not on DraftKings. They do have the Sunday night game in their player pool. But moving on to running back. Running back, there's a couple like mid-tier guys that really stand out. Nothing stands out from the top. Like you just have the normal guys at the top. Barkley, McCaffrey, 2 guys I'm going to be trying to spend up for if I can. Barkley's by far my favorite spend-up option on this slate. Ezekiel Elliott, his price definitely stands out on Yahoo compared to Barkley and McCaffrey. Barkley and McCaffrey are like $6 more. So if Zeke winds up playing at $32, I actually think he's a pretty good play on Yahoo, given the savings that you get going down from Barkley and McCaffrey. A guy, though, that I want to talk about on Yahoo is Todd Gurley. He's only $28. That really stands out. He should not be this cheap. He should be one of the more expensive running backs. The fact that he's not priced up there with like Zeke and Bell and McCaffrey is kind of mind-boggling. I know Gurley's got some question marks with him this year, whether the workload's going to be there, whether he's going to be fully healthy. We saw to end the year the workload just wasn't there. He wasn't fully healthy. Wasn't getting a ton of attempts rushing, wasn't getting much work in the passing game either. But this is still a great running back that gives you a ton of volume when he is healthy. When he was healthy to begin the year, he was getting 20 carries a game, 5 to 10 targets a game. If he gets that kind of workload at only $28 on Yahoo, he's going to be a core play for me. Definitely a kind of wait and see, though, as we get closer to week 1. Maybe we can get some confirmation on his health, whether he's fully healthy. But $28 for sure going to be in my player pool on Yahoo. Then a couple more guys that stand out as mid-tier plays. David Johnson, his price on Yahoo stands out a lot at just $23. This is still a really good running back. Although the Cardinals weren't great as a team last year, you still had some pretty good outings from David Johnson. I expect the Cardinals will be better this year. I think their offense is going to be a lot better now that they have an explosive quarterback like Kyler Murray. Murray should be getting the ball to Johnson plenty, whether it's rushing or whether he finds him in the passing game. Johnson was a guy that got 15 to 20 carries a game, got some targets as well. I think those numbers will probably even go up this year. At home against Detroit, pretty high total at 47.5. I do like David Johnson a lot at just $23. Whether you want to use him as your RB2 or you want to play him in your flex, he's going to be a guy I look to a lot. And then another guy right there in that price range, Leonard Fournette. I think I talked about him on DraftKings as well. He seems a little bit too cheap just for the upside that you get out of a guy like Leonard Fournette. One concern, though, always with Fournette is he doesn't get a ton of work in the passing game. That's more useful on DraftKings where it's full PPR, not as useful on Yahoo. But still, you do want a running back that can at least get a couple targets, which he can. He can get 2 to 4 targets, but he's not going to get the passing game volume that you see from guys like McCaffrey and Barkley. But you're also really not paying that same price tag either. He's only $20 in a pretty high-scoring game. At least project to be a high-scoring game between the Jaguars and the Chiefs. Fournette at $20 I like a lot. Him and David Johnson in that low 20s price tier are for sure going to be guys I look to as like mid-tier plays. And then the cheap guys that maybe are in play, it kind of depends on who is going to play, like whether Zeke and Melvin Gordon hold out or if they actually wind up playing. But if Gordon sits and Zeke sits, that's going to open up some cheap options. We'll obviously have more clarity on that as we get closer to week 1. But if Gordon were to sit, you do get Austin Eckler at a pretty cheap price of $18. I'm more inclined to go to the Cowboys side. Like, I don't think I need to play Eckler or Justin Jackson because it looks like they're going to share the work if Melvin Gordon winds up sitting. But on the other side, with Zeke, if he winds up sitting, that is going to open up some value. Tony Pollard is very cheap on Yahoo. He's way down here. He's minimum salary. If I can find him real quick. Very cheap. Let's see if we can find him. Right here, just $10 minimum salary. Going to be one of the top value plays if Zeke winds up holding out. Jerry Jones already come out and said that he believes Pollard can carry the load, can be the RB1, can be the workhorse back. So if Ezekiel Elliott winds up sitting, we'll know more about that as we get closer to week 1. Tony Pollard, definitely want to put him on your radar. Going to be one of the top value plays on the slate. Very cheap on DraftKings, minimum salary on Yahoo. Going to be a guy we look to a lot. Let's go ahead and talk about some receivers now. Looking at this position, one thing that really stands out on Yahoo given their pricing is that the receiver pricing is just really soft this week. Most expensive receiver is Odell at $30. This is a pretty cheap price tag for Odell. This is a guy that we were paying nearly $40 for last year. Now he's only at $30, and he's the most expensive receiver. So that just kind of shows you how soft the receiver pricing is this week on Yahoo. If I'm paying up, I think like a guy like Odell obviously in play. But I really like Mike Evans. Just going to that San Francisco-Tampa Bay game, Mike Evans, one of my favorite spend-up options. With the Sunday night game on Yahoo, Juju Smith-Schuster with no Antonio Brown, with no Le'Veon Bell, should be a target monster. He should see probably 10-plus targets a game. It's probably going to be a focal point for the defense, so the Patriots are probably obviously going to focus on him, but still the volume should be there. $28, him and Mike Evans might be my two favorite spend-ups on Yahoo. One guy I want to talk about is just being too cheap, not the best matchup, but Tyreek Hill at just $24 really stands out. Same price as Robert Woods, same price as A.J. Green. Hill just feels too cheap for the upside that he brings on a day-to-day basis. And I know it's a tough matchup with Jacksonville. He's probably going to be matched up with Jalen Ramsey, who is by far one of the best corners in the league. But still, Hill's just $24. He faced Jacksonville last year and didn't have that bad of a game. He did get 7 targets, 4 catches for 61 yards, had 10 fantasy points. Not the best game, but $24. You're not paying that high 30s price for Hill that you normally have to pay. So I do like him as a potential tournament option. Not going to be an optimal cash play given the matchup, but in GPPs, Tyreek Hill, if he's going to be low owned at just $24, is going to be someone I'll look to a lot. Chris Godwin, just going back to that 49ers-Bucks game, Chris Godwin, a guy I'm pretty high on this year. I like him a lot. Him and Mike Evans, pairing with Jameis Winston, just do a full stack of the Bucks passing game. Going to be something I look to do. Tyler Boyd with A.J. Green out. $18. Definitely someone we could potentially look to against the Seahawks. I do like some of these Arizona guys to stack with Kyler Murray. Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk are both $17. I think I would prefer Kirk. So if I'm playing Kyler Murray, Christian Kirk is someone you can definitely look to as a cheap wide receiver to pair with him. Pretty much all of Arizona's receivers are cheap just because last year they weren't that great offensively in the passing game. So these guys are priced kind of like they were playing in last year's system. This year's system is just going to be totally different with Kingsbury at the head coach, Kyler Murray at quarterback. This team's going to play fast. They're going to throw the ball. So I do like Kirk at 17 as a value. A couple more cheap guys that maybe stand out. A guy like DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, I think both are going to have pretty good years for the Panthers, both at $16 as potential cheap options you can maybe look to. A guy like Robbie Anderson, we saw the kind of upside that he has towards the end of the last year. He had some really big games. Someone you could definitely potentially look to as a value at 16. Dante Pettis, going back to that San Francisco-Tampa Bay game, someone you could look to. Some other 49ers receivers are definitely intriguing, like Deebo Samuel. I think he's really, really cheap, like $11 or $12. Yeah, $12 on Yahoo. He's been playing really well, been having great practices, it seems like. The coach is very high on him. Both rookies, Samuel and Hurd, it seems like have been impressing Shanahan. So Samuel at 12, just trying to get as much exposure to that game as possible, going against a really bad Tampa Bay defense and a really bad Tampa Bay secondary. You could definitely look there. Sterling Shepard, I mentioned him in the DraftKings video. Without Odell, I expect Shepard's going to get plenty of targets. He's very cheap, just $14 on Yahoo. But I think we pretty much covered all the receivers that stand out for now. Obviously, as we get closer to week one, we'll go more in depth, talk about more values, because more value will most likely open up. But now moving on to tight end and looking at this position. Tight end, just your normal, what you see every week. Kelsey, Kittle, Ertz at the top, all pretty expensive on Yahoo. Definitely not going to be optimal plays. The optimal way to go at tight end on Yahoo is usually to spin down if you can. But if I'm spinning up, Kelsey and Kittle are definitely my favorite options. Kittle probably is my favorite option, though. Just given the matchup with Tampa Bay, how bad that secondary is, with how well this game projects for scoring, I like Kittle a lot at 27 if I am spinning up. But trying to find these cheap values. Couple guys I mentioned in my DraftKings video that I like a lot on Yahoo as well. I got like Greg Olsen at $15. Jordan Reed, Tyler Eifert, Austin Hooper, all these guys are really cheap at just $13. For sure going to be in play for values. Tyler Eifert probably going to be one of the guys I go to a lot as a value tight end. Delaney Walker at 16 feels like a pretty good value if you want to go to him. I'm either probably going to be spinning up for Kelsey or Kittle, or I'm just going to go to these cheap guys like Hooper, Reed, Eifert. Those are the guys that really stand out at tight end. Harder to see like any value here, just so early on in the week. We don't really have any clarity on any value plays right now. So I guess that is it for tight end. Not much to talk about at this position, just kind of the same thing you see every week. So moving on to defense, really can't really talk about defense. There's really not much to talk about. 3 weeks till week one, but I guess any defenses that stand out, like Seattle at home against the Bengals, probably going to be a defense we look to. Maybe like the Cowboys at home against the Giants if you're not playing Barkley. Just $14 on Yahoo feels like a pretty good cheap way to go. The Browns at home against the Titans, I think at $12 as a really cheap defense makes some sense. I usually always try and pay down for defense if possible. Probably going to be the same thing for week one, going to those defenses I mentioned. I guess that's it for defense, guys. I think we pretty much covered all the plays, whether it's they're given their salary or just if I feel like they're in a really good spot. This will obviously not be my week one video. That will be out closer to week one where we go really in depth on each position. I will have specific videos out for DraftKings and for Yahoo, separate videos for each site, so that way we can go in depth on each site. I'm going to be playing DraftKings and Yahoo pretty much all NFL season, so those were the two sites I wanted to cover the most in my videos. But I hope you did enjoy this, guys. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you drop a like if you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe if you are new. If you have any questions, if you want to leave any questions, comments about this week one slate, if you see anything, any standout plays, feel free to comment those down below. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Appreciate you checking out the video. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.